What's up, guys? Episode 2 today. We're here with our wonderful league owner, Aero. How you doing today, Aero?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Doing pretty good. So, CPR just ended. How would you say CPR went?
It could have gone better for me, but I didn't put as much effort as I wanted to in this particular CPR, but it's fine. Got a few targets that I needed.
Nice. Alright, so let's get into it. So, looking at your coach stats thing, you have a sterling record overall. It is. Hold on, it's messed up.
I've been here for a long time, man.
Yeah, you've been here for a while. You have like over 200 wins. Yeah, you are 244 and 75. So you have not had a losing season since your second year at Maryland in 2033.
Yep.
Your last eight years at Notre Dame, you went on a run of 8 division championships in a row, 6 straight playoff appearances, with a win in the Natty in that span. You haven't missed a bowl since the 3-9 2033 season, with last year making 21 straight bowls. What would you attribute this success to?
Just working. As I tell any new coach that when they get into it, go for the things that you know best for your team and recruit to that style. When I was with Maryland, my offers were about 150 that I was putting out there, and barely making a tenth of those, and just getting really lucky with getting recruits. And then, of course, when I took over Maryland, I definitely piggybacked off of Chill and everything that he built there, with their stats and everything. But continuing that success was definitely something that I wanted to uphold compared to what we've seen with other teams when coaches have taken over and they've had a dip and they've had a dramatic fall. I can definitely say that did not happen for me, and just constantly recruiting and being active in the league is something I recommend for any coach if they're wanting to be successful.
So, as I said, you went 3-9 in 2033, and then turned it around to 12-2 in 2034. I wasn't around then, and a lot of the coaches in the league today weren't also. So what exactly happened that turned you around so quickly?
That was the year of expansion. 2032 and or 2032 and 2033, Maryland was in the Big Ten, and then expansion happened and got bumped into the MAC, where at the time I think we had about 7 coaches in that conference. One of the other big ones who I eventually faced off in that championship game was Nick with Western Michigan, who was a powerhouse team. But, having a brand new teams to play against and a conference that, Maryland deserved to be in at that time, and a G5, and got to dominate in that. And that was something that was luck on my end more than anything, because of with the new teams and everything in that division, and got to really break that in. And then that was a really good year for me. And then, when the MAC started to get a little bit better and more competition started to come in, it was on the up and up right when I left.
So you're saying that there was once upon a time that the MAC was actually good?
Oh yeah, the MAC, when I was in it, and shortly after that, there was about 8 or 9 dedicated coaches that were active in the league, that were building up teams. We had competitors. I think that very first year, both me, Buffalo, and Western Michigan had teams that were close to being were in the top 25, should have been in top 25. And the very next year, even going 8-5 in the league, we still had some really good competitors in there. And, after that, the MAC still maintained, and we had there's about 4 coaches that stayed for the long haul there for a while until it all finally started to fall apart when Nick left. So it was a fun little conference there for a hot minute.
Nice. So, what drove you to leave Notre Dame after a 15-1 season, undefeated until the national championship game?
I've been looking to leave for my alma mater, and I was kind of looking for my way out. Kind of got some complacency, and the year that I was really considering that was actually about 2044, when I was really considering stepping down. I think at that time, Ole Miss didn't have a coach, or the coach was kind of inactive. There's a coaching change right there. And then, I think it was Code Nick who became the eventual coach of that. And so that kind of held me off for a little bit. But I had a really good recruiting class with Notre Dame, and I wanted to see that recruiting class out, which, that was the one that gave us King Lizotte, or Lizotte, however you want to pronounce it. And I stayed until, I did. And the biggest thing that helped me leave was Ole Miss didn't have a coach, and Chill was wanting to come back and coach. And I told him that I would be more than happy to hand the team back over to him. And that's what happened. The goal was always Ole Miss at some point.
Gotcha. So you're one of the coaches one of the handful of coaches, along with me, I think Secret and XL also, a personal, like a connection to their coach, to the team they coach.
Oh yeah, I'm one of the very few in the league that Ole Miss is my alma mater. It's actually my hometown. Still live and attend games every year. So this is definitely one of those things that you look for as in this fake league of becoming a head coach to your favorite team.
Mm-hmm. All right, so moving on. So from what I can tell, you've been calling game days for quite some time. What would you say your favorite game day that you have called, or the most memorable one, has been for you?
Ooh, there's been a lot of good ones. I became a mod near the end of my Maryland, or right at the very end of my Maryland run, and before getting into Notre Dame. I got to call a couple national championships that were fun. I got to call some really good conference championship games, rivalry games. There's too many to to really say, just because of I don't have a favorite one. I have a bunch of great moments, and the 4 interception game or 4 interceptions in a row game. Game that had, I think, about 12 or 13 different injuries to players, last minute wins. I think I was one of the first game callers where they had onside kick. because that wasn't in the previous engine; it was in this one. So there's a lot of fun and exciting things I got to call.
So, staying on like memorable games, what would you say the most memorable game that you've for the teams that you've coached has been? You can do one for each school or just one overall.
Well, the first one, if we're going to go by, separate it by generations. My very first game in an active season was against Mississippi State, which of course is, a hated rival of Ole Miss. And that was my first game in the league where we beat them. And at the time, one of the guys that, kind of was ribbing me the whole time was a mod by the name of Coach Hale. And to get my first win in the league was from him, kind of, set me up for success for moving forward and kind of gave me confidence to kind of stay in the league and, stir the pot whenever I could. With Notre Dame winning the national championship, finally bringing one home after all the years that Chill made it and never won it. And then on my second go around, finally winning it in a big way. That was definitely something of a proud moment there. And then at Ole Miss, probably that one a couple years ago where when XL was coaching LSU, and we're heavy underdog favorite, or we were underdogs, and we ended up winning that game. And I got to stir the pot with him, and I think I did a face reveal at that particular game. So that was a big one.
Nice. Okay. So, who do you think? Who's your prediction for the 2055 national champion?
There's a bunch of teams that have a say on it. I don't think UCLA will repeat because it's very hard to do so in this league.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, with the change, not to say anything negative about our commissioner and Amok, but I think Northwestern has a really good chance. I think Georgia is going to be in the finals, if not, winning the whole thing. Dogwood has made a powerhouse with Georgia, and I couldn't, I don't bet against him when I can do. Of course, I feel like I have a chance, but my dark horse this year is probably going to be Utah State in the Big Ten. I think Coach Ryan's, has a team for it. I don't know what his schedule looks like off the top of my head, but I feel like he can.
He's got me week 8.
Okay, well, that's an easy win for him. I feel like, especially those Big Ten teams, they can lose a couple games, still be in conversation for the playoffs. My schedule is weak. I'd have to go perfect. I was right on the edge last year and the year before, only losing one regular season game, but losing the SEC championship. So I feel like, national championship is Northwestern, Georgia, Army, or that dark horse in Utah State.
So if you had to pick one of those, who would you pick?
I'm going to go with Georgia. I feel like their path's a little bit easier than Northwestern or any Big Ten team. since I do know Georgia's schedule, or at least their conference schedule, I think they have an easy road ahead of them. And I think Dogwood, unless he has, one of these top 10 teams that he's playing against in OOC, I see them running the table, going undefeated all the way in, and, that easy transition. But when you have, the top running back, top receiver, arguably one of the best defenses in the league, I think they're going to be the ones to pull it off.
So this next question will be the most important question you answer all day.
Okay.
Corn or flour tortillas?
Depends on what you're eating it with. If I'm going to be doing something that's going to have a lot of juice with it, I'm probably going to go with a flour tortilla. But if it's going to be something that's going to be just, not as juicy, corn tortilla for sure.
All right, so that's one. XL answered flour. He was very against corn tortillas, and I guess
purpose.
Yeah, that's my opinion. Each one has a purpose. All right, so as we are wrapping this, go ahead.
I said you got to have somebody who knows how to cook it right too, and make sure that it's heated up enough where it doesn't immediately tear apart on you.
Mm-hmm. All right, so as we are wrapping this up, what do you hope to see happen in the league over the next 5 seasons? In terms of growth or Texas Tech championship?
In forms of growth, I would love to see even as commissioner for the time period that I was, I've always wanted to see the more active coaches. And I know it waxes and wanes over the years. I would love to see a constant about 100 coaches. Seems like about a good number. I know at one of our heights in the league, we had like close to 110 coaches, and that was right during expansion. And it's wavered and faltered, and it's gotten below 50 at one point. But I would love to see more active coaches, an average of about 100 coaches, give or take. I would love to see Flippy win another ring. I want to see Light the Wick, Virginia's head coach, win a ring, and I want to see another G5 powerhouse win the Natty as well at some point. Don't know who off the top of my head. It'd be, I'm always kind of cheering for Nick. Because, he was one of the mods that kind of helped me along when I first started off. I'd love to see Alaska Anchorage pull it through. But those are some of the things I'd like to see.
And then I know you touched on this earlier, but what would you say to any new or aspiring coaches? What's one piece of advice you would give them?
Oof. Oh, know your statistics with your team. You know what you're good at, know what you're not good at, and recruit that way. And you do that. Recruit early. Your team's going to be fine, and you can get it to where you can increase those other rankings. So recruit with what you're good with.
All right. Well, that's it. So thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good one. Have good luck in the upcoming season.
Good luck to you as well.